there, welcome to Doodle Lounge. I wanted today to talk to you about perspective. Very often when people get overwhelmed, they get stressed, we tend in life to throw everything on one big pile and say, oh, it's just all too much. And we lose perspective of what's really important. I often say to clients to take a helicopter view. So to get into a helicopter, hover above your life so that you get a little bit of a better perspective. I've got my props ready to just give you a very simple exercise that hopefully make you think about sort of the perspective of your life. I'm terribly simplifying the maths on this, not a huge forte of mine, but let's think about things in sort of simple terms just to hopefully get a message across. Now, I'm in my early 40s, and let's imagine that I'm going to live to the ripe old age of 80 something. So I'll have roughly about 40 years left of my life. Here's something I prepared earlier. So imagine this piece of string represents the 40 years I've got left to live on this planet. Sometimes we go through life not perhaps thinking about the bigger picture, you know, we are busy with work, with kids, with family, with all sorts of different responsibilities, and it seems that time's endless. It's not until we come up against some adversity in our life that perhaps we are forced to look at the vulnerability of life. So generally that 40 years seems like an eternity, but it's not really 40 years of conscious living that I've got left on this planet, because if you think about it, I'm gonna out of that 40 years spend quite a bit of time sleeping. Now, for the ease of this exercise, I'm going to say that out of every 24 hours, we sleep 8 hours. I don't get 8 hours, I'd love to get 8 hours, but just for the ease of the maths, let's say that you're getting 8 hours. If you get less in a week, then hopefully you're so fortunate you can make up for that. Now, I've done the maths of this and I remember the numbers, not that you think that I'm an absolute number whiz, but 40 years left of life would be the same as 14,600 days, and that goes to 340,500 hours that I've got left to live. Now, if I'm going to be sleeping 8 hours out of every 24 hours, then that's a third that, and I'm going to measure a third of this, that I'm actually not being able to do any kind of conscious living. I'm going to cut this off in a minute, because the other third, the other 8 hours out of every 24 hours, I'm likely to be spending working. Now, again, for ease of maths, I'm going to take that over 7 days, because if you're working 8 hours and we want to take into consideration commuting to and from work, some calls that you may be doing from home, work that you may be doing from home, again, for ease, I'm going to take 8 hours out of every 24 hours that you're going to be working, that you're going to be fulfilling your responsibilities, possibly for somebody else or for your own business, but something that you're obliged to do. So my first third here, I'm going to be sleeping, resting, not going to be necessarily consciously productive. And then my second third, which is to keep that accurate, I'm going to be working, doing some work of some sort. So out of the 40 years that I've got left, out of the 14,600 days that I've got left, these have already been spent. I have now got this left. And if you think about it, the third that I've got left, I haven't really just thought about washing, ironing, cooking my food, shopping, perhaps administrative things you need to be doing that really realistically still need to be coming out of this before I've got some proper quality, relaxation, productive, creative time. So if I compare this, let's just put these away. This is the same length as the one that I was starting with. When I almost are complacent with the fact that I've got ages to go, because you know I'm young, I'm around 40, and if I'm going to live to the ripe old age of 80 something, I've got all this time left to do something with my life. And therefore you perhaps almost can put things off to next Monday, next month, or next year, or when everything is set up just right, then I'll do something about that holiday or that particular hobby I'd like to take up or that particular desire that I have. But in actual fact, you haven't got that time. You've actually got this much time. And then, like we just said, you've got less than this time even, if you take out all the things that we have to do on a day-to-day basis. So I hope that gives you a little bit of perspective, that in terms of putting things off, yes, there perhaps is always going to be another Monday, or there's always going to be another month, but today is of the essence. What can you do today towards the very things that you love doing, the things that light you up, the things that excite you? What dreams have you given up on? What things have you always said you wanted to perhaps learn or do that you've always put on the back burner? You've got a little bit of time left. Perhaps you can't do them exactly today, but what can you do towards those things today so that they actually happen? You know, it's interesting that today is called the present. It's like a gift that we can do something with today. So rather than perhaps going on automatic pilot, what can you do today? Even if it's a phone call or something very, very small that brings you close to the very things that you love doing, you love creating, or you feel perhaps your things you're meant to do whilst you're alive. I hope they're giving you a little bit of perspective, a little bit of a helicopter view about your life. What can you do today? Have a great day today, and whatever you can put towards the dreams you have, go do them. Good luck.